All right, this whole Joshua versus Whyte situation, we're getting sort of more info trickling up to the surface. Now, whether this article here I'm reading is, this could be just rumors, but I'm reading it here and I'm looking to know who they got this info off, because in one sense, what they're saying here doesn't surprise me, but in another sense, I'm kind of like, could Dillian Whyte really? Maybe he just doesn't want to fight Joshua. I don't know. But obviously, in the last fortnight, Eddie Hearn said that they were getting close to the Joshua Dillian Whyte fight, and then obviously last week, Dillian Whyte gave an interview with Sky Sports where he basically said, I'm paraphrasing, but there's been no real movement at all with this fight. And, given the fact they were 8 weeks out, there was nothing happening, it kind of did make you think, okay, look, this fight, it's not looking ideal. It's not looking ideal. And then obviously last week, Eddie Hearn basically, again, I'm paraphrasing, basically said Dillian Whyte was looking for too much money. Again, I'm paraphrasing there, but that's basically the gist of what was happening. And he said that obviously we had 2 or so other opponents who were lined up. We've obviously heard no movement on them or who they may in fact be. But when I was talking about this fight originally, I was like, if there is one issue, it's probably going to be Dillian Whyte looking for more money than he's actually worth. Or in fact, that the fight's worth, to be honest with you. Because I said it once, I'll say it again, Eddie Hearn at DAZN, it's a business. It's a business that has taken many L's on shows over the last couple of years, where by their own admission they were overpaying talent. And, that obviously ain't going to happen now. Profits need to be made. And they can only give a fighter at the end of the day however much that they feel that they're worth. Now, Dillian Whyte, to his credit, back 2018, 2019, was worth a lot more money than he's worth now in terms of purses he'd be getting, because he was fighting good opponents, headlining the shows, on Sky Sports pay-per-view. Eddie Hearn, I'm sure, was as happy as Larry. But since then, since 2020, Dillian Whyte's been knocked out by Povetkin, he's been knocked out by Fury, looked pretty horrific, I have to say, last time out there against Jermaine Franklin. So he is not going to be worth nowhere near what he was worth in terms of purses back in 2018, 2019 and 2020. So you would imagine that Dillian Whyte would have realised that. Well, clearly not. Because basically they're saying that it's a near impossible task in this article here from No Smoke Boxing. So they have a few bullet points here, and it says Joshua's preferred opponent is domestic rival Dillian Whyte. Joshua's team have offered Dillian Whyte slightly over half of the purse he received to face Tyson Fury. Slightly over. Okay. Dillian Whyte wants, apparently, wait for this now, double that. He wants double the amount he got for the Tyson Fury fight. So, to read this article here, NoSmokeBoxing.com has learned that Matchroom Boxing, on behalf of former unified heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, offered former title challenger Dillian Whyte around $3 million to face Anthony Joshua live in London on DAZN pay-per-view. Pay-per-view. So that's a strange one. So Joshua's last fight obviously wasn't on pay-per-view, so it kind of did make you think, are they kind of steering away from pay-per-view? Joshua Whyte on pay-per-view now in 2023? Oh, I don't know. That might be a harder sell. That might be a hard sell, but likely is not going to get it anyway. Whyte earned a career-high payday of $5.5 million to face WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. I thought it was a little bit more than that. I thought it was closer to, well, actually, I thought it was around about the $6 million mark. But anyway, earned about $5.5 million. But apparently, the Brixton-based contender is requesting a purse, wait for this, around $10 million to face longtime rival Anthony Joshua in August, a number that is almost double the purse. The £7 million gap is understood to be too much to close, and the fight is very unlikely to happen next as it stands. Also, they've gone on to say that Joshua does still plan on fighting on August the 12th if, it's just whoever it's going to be against. Now, let's talk about that now in a sec, but let's talk about the apparent $10 million he wants. So essentially what they're saying, if this is true, because again, you got to take all these with a pinch of salt, at the end of the day, when you're reading some of these articles, as it is with everything, it can be dramatized, they can gaslight it a bit. So, do I believe... Look, I wouldn't put it past Dillian Whyte to request an amount like that. I mean, he's essentially requested, if that's true, more than he got for the Tyson Fury fight. And obviously, the Tyson Fury fight was a world title fight. It was in Wembley Stadium. Fury still is, and he was then, at that time, a bigger name than Anthony Joshua. Joshua was coming off the back of a loss to Alexander Usyk at the time, going into the rematch, and then he lost again. So if you want to talk about even back in mid-2022, Tyson Fury was still the bigger name. There's no doubt in my mind Fury was bigger than him. So whatever you were going to get, you want a big payday in the heavyweight division and you're in the UK. That's as big as it's going to get, realistically. Joshua will give you some good money, but it's not going to be as big as fighting Tyson Fury, going over to BT Sport and having to do that. So he did that. He lost badly. And then has a fight against Jermaine Franklin where, I mean, how much do you reckon he really got for that Jermaine Franklin fight? Realistically, do you think he even scraped the mill? Do you think he even got $1 million? Do you think he just got the high six figures for that? Maybe 500-600 if even. Do you reckon he got $1 million for that? I don't know. But now apparently he wants $10 million for Joshua, right? There's no way Eddie Hearn or Joshua would give that kind of money out for this fight because it's never going to recoup the amount of money that it's going to take to cover that purse. It probably won't do the numbers on pay-per-view. Certainly the people like Frank Smith think it'll do, saying it'll do over $1 million. I don't see it doing that. I think that if you did do it on pay-per-view and you did do this fight, you take the purse out of the equation, you did do it, it'd probably do okay because there is a bit of beef there. They could sell it up a bit, but in terms of doing like close to $1 million, I couldn't see that. You know, you used to have a 750, even that, I couldn't see that. Maybe in around the 300, 400, 500 mark, maybe, yeah. But getting close to $1 million, I couldn't see that. No way. So they'd never recoup that money. And Dillian Whyte isn't worth that amount of money at this stage in his career. He's looked horrible in his last couple of fights. He's looked horrible pretty much. Like the Povetkin fight, the first fight, he looked pretty good. But Povetkin looked shocking in that first fight up until he landed that uppercut. And yeah, he looked better in the rematch than he did, but he wasn't getting stopped. He wasn't getting knocked out in the rematch, and Povetkin looked even worse. In fact, actually, no, Povetkin was worse the first fight. He really was. He was crap both fights, to be honest with you, but he looked absolutely all over the place in the first one as well. So that was kind of, it masked Dillian Whyte in terms of his vulnerabilities that were definitely there. We never got to see him against Otto Dillian, because obviously he pulled out of that fight with a very dubious injury. And then he looked terrible against Tyson Fury. He looked awful against Jermaine Franklin. So Dillian Whyte at this stage in his career, as I said, like he's not looking any better. He's not going to be getting any big purses. I mean, if 3 million is the number that is legit that they're chucking around, he is not going to get that money anywhere else. He is, unless, and I don't think it'll happen, but unless shamelessly I should say, they're going to do Whyte versus Fury 2. He might get, there's a bit of rhyme there, but he might get a bigger amount than that, might get it. But they're not going to do that. I couldn't see Frank Warren or Team Fury going down that road again. I just couldn't see it. The fans wouldn't accept it. In terms of Whyte, again, where is he at? Where is he going to get money like this? 3 million, if that is true, and he's asking for 10 million, it's just him pricing himself out. That's him basically saying, I just don't want to fight Joshua, if that's the case. If he's turning down 3 million and saying I want 10 million, it's just, that's the case, I don't want to fight Joshua. If he thinks he's going to get that money somewhere else, I mean, I'd love to know where. Where is he going to get it? Usyk is fighting Dubois, and hopefully Usyk fights Fury then, so Usyk's out of the equation. Dubois, if he takes an L against Usyk, I mean, they're not going to fork out money for Dubois to fight Dillian Whyte and fork out crazy money, so that's out of the equation. Jared Anderson, Bob Arum, although I think he would be well advised to try and get Anderson versus Whyte, Bob Arum may be willing to take an L on the show, but not an L where he's paying a guy multi-millions. It's just, that makes no sense at all. Bob Arum's a smart man. So where else is he going to get it? So literally, where else is he going to get it? He's not going to get anywhere else. So if he wants money, well, I mean, the only thing you can do is fight Joshua. 3 million is nothing to turn your nose up at. I mean, was he getting 3 million in around that when he was fighting on Sky pay-per-view? So does he actually unbelievably think that his profile has risen over the last couple of years, which it hasn't? So it's a strange one. So if that's true, then that's just the price out as far as I'm concerned. In terms of the fight itself and who Anthony Joshua could take on August 12th, that's a good question. I mean, you know, you're not going to want to, like, people are saying, oh, maybe you could fight Hrgovic or someone like that. No, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him fight Hrgovic. I think it's a great fight. I think it's a very competitive fight. I don't know who I'd really take in that fight. Part of me says Joshua, another part of me says Hrgovic. But they are not, under any circumstance, going to put him in with someone as dangerous as Hrgovic if you've got a Deontay Wilder fight lined up for December and you're going to make an absolute bomb. It makes no sense from anyone's point of view. Like, Eddie Hearn will be absolutely stark raving mad to put Joshua in there with someone as dangerous as Hrgovic, knowing he has a Deontay Wilder fight coming up in December, we think anyway. and knowing it's going to be for absolute baseball figures. It just makes no sense. In terms of who it would be, they probably would have to take it off pay-per-view. And I reckon they just put him in with a Gerald Washington or someone like that. Someone who Joshua can look good against, maybe similar dimensions to Deontay Wilder, similar-ish anyway, maybe height and maybe reach, but obviously not as hard. It doesn't hit as hard, probably not as fast. But that's probably what they'll do, I would imagine. In terms of Dillian Whyte, the reason why I wasn't... Look, the Dillian Whyte fight is not terrible under no mean, but I thought that Joshua would win it, but at least he would... There'd be an element of danger there. You know, a very small percentage, but a percentage nonetheless. Against someone maybe like a Gerald Washington, who's not even a big puncher, there's no real danger there, to be honest with you. So that is the situation with Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. I will probably do a live either today or tomorrow evening. Hopefully today, and we can discuss this a little bit further on then. For now, I will leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I love seeing the numbers go up. I love seeing it. Can't help it, love seeing it. Hit subscribe, help your boy out. For now, I'll leave you with that. Peace.